And now we'll go to table number 1, where our hero has pocket 8s on the button. We're going to get, and I'll just wait for the action to catch up. We're going to get a limp from Applauso in middle position here. A couple things that I want to say. We've had Applauso at the table for a little while now. There's frankly no excuse for not having this player marked in purple and to be paying a lot of attention to his actions now. First of all, he's a silver star. Almost always denotes weaker players in the games. And then the limp is just the 100% positively confirmed. We want to have this player labeled. So I think at this point I would have already marked him as being a weaker spot in the game. I do like going for the ISO. My default in these ante games, especially against limpers with deeper stacks, is to ISO to a little bit more. I find they're all too happy to call, so why not make them pay to see flops against me? And we flop pretty good with middle set, and we're going to get into a sizing spot here. Our hero, and I'll just tab back. Our hero goes ahead and c-bets for $9 into about an $11 pot. A larger bet on a wet texture with deep stacks when in position against a weaker player. All things considered, looks like a pretty nice bet size to me. You can get away with this against these types of players and on these boards. And Applauso calls very, very quickly. And the turn brings the 9 of hearts. Here's where I have a bit of an issue with the sizing. Applauso does check quickly to the lead again. And our hero ends up betting $16 into 28. This is far, far, far too small in my opinion. First of all, again, we can be exploitative and go after these players. At the same time, look at the board texture. We have 2 flush draws and a million straight draws, not to mention several combos of worse made hands or worse 2-pair hands that will call you. You want to be betting large here for value because there's going to be so many combinations of hands, whether they are 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack 10, a spade draw 8, 9, that are going to 100% call whatever you throw at them on this turn. This is a jackpot situation against these players. This is when you can go for the kill, when you have what is pretty close to the nuts, and when they have a hand range given the board texture where they're just almost certainly going to call you. So why not jack up the price and make a little bit of money for your trouble? I'd certainly be betting over $20 on this card. This is a spot where, again, in live poker, I would just bet full pot and start licking my lips. And Applauso ends up folding, but that's beside the point. I mean, of course, there are going to be like straggling hands on his flop calling range that just brick that turn, whether it's 3-5 suited or something like that. But the point remains that he's going to have a lot of hands there that he's going to look to call with, and on that texture, we should be happy to charge him. And again, we get another limp in an early position. This is just, you've got to have this player labeled. You've got to be keeping an eye on him, and you've got to be making an effort to stack him before your opposition gets a chance to do so. This is where your win rate comes from. This is where the money is made, and you need to be focusing on these players. On table number 2, we pick up Ace-Jack in the cutoff, and I think it's Pickle Joe that opens an early position here. And Chrono85, who I believe he's one of the weaker spots at the table, but we don't end up actually having a read on him. Flats. This is a spot where, because of the stack depth, primarily between our hero and the pre-flop raiser, this is a spot where with Ace-Jack, it's kind of okay, especially if somebody is unlikely to squeeze behind you, where it's okay to take flops here or to even squeeze in position. I mean, at the end of the day, what's 10 or 11 big blinds when you're 400 big blinds deep? So while I don't mind just playing a solid taggy kind of style of poker here and folding, this is also a spot where we can really put this stack depth to work and make ourselves more difficult to play against by maybe throwing in a re-raise or by calling and looking to maneuver well after the flop in position here. So folding is okay, But if you're the type of player that wants to be king of the world with a deep stack, I'd probably look to find a way to play that hand.